Welcome back to AlphaTauri for another week of races here on F1 Manager 23. We are approaching the end of the first half of this season. 4 more races this week, of course, and whilst last week we only had 1 regular race weekend out of the 4, this weekend we've only got 1 non-regular race weekend out of the 4 races, which will be in Silverstone, another sprint there, returning to that format for the British Grand Prix, but 2 more regular races between then and now. Spain today, Austria tomorrow, and with the Spanish Grand Prix, we have actually nothing to note, really, as such. We have just redeveloped a front wing to get it on the car. Annoyingly, I manufactured one of the old spec, but the good news is we did have one of the new spec ones already in production, so we do have a front wing on both those vehicles. Thankfully, the difference between 2 and 3 wasn't that great for some reason. I don't know what happened there. So it's not too much of a downgrade if any of them break. And we definitely have a plethora of backups now. Now, the main thing to note, though, is for Austria, next time out, we will have the new spec side pod and the new spec underfloor. Suspension's just having to wait till we get the front wings remanufactured because we've only got 3 factory spaces. We'll also have a new chassis before the ATR period ends, but that will have to be manufactured, so we won't be expecting to see that until at least Hungary. The only other bit of news is we did get the driver development update, and well, he's improved his adaptability even further. For some reason I thought he was in the 90s on that, but he's gone up to 87 recently. It's reactions that he has in spades already. Still won't improve the things I want him to improve, despite being on a program that does improve smooth and should improve cornering. Can't for the life of him make him improve the things he needs to improve in. Thankfully, Yuki's control is gradually getting higher, now 78. I believe he started the season at 75. But yeah, that accuracy is ridiculous on Yuki now. I'll switch him over to a program that will get those sub 80 attributes above 80, and then we'll put him back on a smoothness program, because smoothness and control, quite frankly, are the 2 most important things. 1, to not crash, 1, to outlive the tyres that we're going to be blasting most weekends. But it's Spain now, regular race weekend, of course, so I will see you for qualifying after 3 rounds of practice. I will say it's oddly curious that the Red Bulls aren't at the top of the tables in practice. We've had no issues just in terms of preparation. So after Alice's crash last time out, we've obviously got to factor in his damage problems. Still got a fine engine, the ERS is going to be an issue. And he's still got 2 good gearboxes, but yeah, we're going to have to run one down and then keep the other one as fresh as possible. This is going to be a problem going forward a little bit, but oh well. Well, of course, Yuki's still fine to just continue running down the race engine he was using already, and the race gearbox he was running down. Some alarmingly slow times from our drivers there. Magnussen is faster than both, and Bottas is faster than both. They did get stuck in that pack of drivers, which was a slight concern, as you can see there, but maybe with a clean run, they might be better off. There comes some drivers I definitely want to get ahead of, so don't know why they've come out so far apart, but hopefully Tsunoda can clear the Haas that Albon's already passed. Or just not get close to him would be fine as well. Deploy Alex from there. Tsunoda's going to have a problem. He might be far enough behind. He might be far enough behind. It only really works as a tow. Yeah, might be okay. But as our drivers do their flying lap in Q1, we won't bother going on board with either of them. This is the first video recorded since the Hugo Boss news officially broke. I think it must have been rumours for a while, because there's been a mod to replace AlphaTauri with Hugo Boss for weeks now. So in much the same way there's a Sauber mod for Alfa Romeo. I'll be honest, I hadn't heard the rumours, but I guess they must have been a thing, otherwise there wouldn't have been a mod for it. I did wonder why there was a Hugo Boss mod for AlphaTauri, but since that news has officially broken, we will probably be applying the Hugo Boss mod for next season. We're too far into this one really to facilitate that change now. I'll work on the assumption that it will still be known as Hugo Boss AlphaTauri, in the same way it used to be Alfa Romeo Sauber. Ooh, 13th, 14th from our drivers, still not great, and doesn't really bode well for a Q3 appearance. The fact that Hulk and Magnussen were so far apart is a little weird. Zhou Guanyu makes things interesting. Nick De Vries on track, but is being outsped by an Aston Martin, so I think he's actually done. So we're safe. Just. I'm a little bit curious why we're that slow here, because I wouldn't have thought it was a that much different track to Canada. You got a mixture of slightly slower corners on the first half of the circuit, and then you got a big old straight to deal with. And again, we didn't qualify well at Canada, so can't really wait too much longer. There's no one really to get past, which is the odd thing. I mean, Piastri's literally just coming out now. He's not going to make the checker flag. Albon was hindered on his original lap, and now he's holding up Alonso because Albon's now pushing, so he's not going to let him through. We'll go on board. Alonso's safe anyway. It doesn't really matter. For him, it's an interesting lap here at Spain, actually, because the tyres only really just get warm enough before you start the lap, and they just tip over into being too hot once they finish the lap. Gasly's done a time that's representative. That's annoying. He was well down. Paris is also another problem. There's a genuine chance we qualify 14th, 15th here. Because Zhou Guanyu's done a decent one. The good news is Piastri may not make the checker flag. He's coming through sector 3 now. He might just nick it actually, by seconds. I'm actually more focused on him right now than I am Alex. Yeah, by 4 seconds he crosses the line. Better tyres, they're going slower. Alex was hindered in Sector 3 though, so Alex should gain time here if we are to clear Piastri. Perez only 13th, I don't know what happened with him. You see, he should have had a clear lap this time round. He was hindered by his own teammate the first time. But Alex should improve from Sector 3 alone, because that's where he got held up. But only 2/10, and Yuki overall net slower. Right, that's not good. I mean, obviously we get the car improvements next time out, but Alpine 6th and 8th as well. Magnussen 10th is bizarre when Hulkenberg was last. Although Piastri could ruin Magnussen's party, actually, thinking about it. And does. What? He's gone 6th. So Max did end up with pole. Again, a lot slower than Q3 when it's simulated for some reason. The Alpine's only 9 and 10 in Q3 though. Oh yeah, I don't know why they're so much slower. It doesn't really matter as long as, you know, they all do the same thing, respectively. Hamilton 3rd is a curious development though. He's actually got faster than his original Q1 and Q2, surprisingly, whilst everyone else went dramatically slower. Pierre does have a penalty, which does see him probably go to the back. It is a car park problem. I think 2 stops was the thing here anyway. Of course, yeah, our Q3 tyres locked out, isn't it? Because that's the bug. Why would they even consider that as an option? The problem here in Spain is seemingly I can't push any of the tyres, and I don't know how good curbs is. I don't know if they nerfed that at all in terms of tyre wear reduction, lap time reduction. So I don't know if it's still worthwhile to do that on a higher push strategy. So the soft medium gets us to the end. It's 2 stops from everyone. I think they're currently pitting on the same lap, but we'll obviously sort that out when the time comes. There's a tiny bit of space in them just so they can push maybe on first and last laps, and that's literally it.
This is it. It's the Spanish Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Away we go. Temperatures seem to be warmed up already nicely, which is good. As we attempt to claim some people, Gasly off the back, seemingly. Albon gets his teammate, but they are fighting each other, which is not at all concerning. Perez obviously needs to make some early ground here from a 12th place start. Yuki actually did out-qualify Alex, I think, so that is a pass gained by Alex. But now Hoopstever is first, needs to deal with Zhou Guan Yu, hopefully. We'll come back in, nothing's really happening. Stroll's up to 4th, I think he started 5th. Magnussen has taken Ocon, and fairly certain Alonso's taken Piastri as well. Zhou Guan Yu is having to go at Perez. He's crossed the line now. That'll be why. It's a little bit sad that you can kind of see that. I mean, don't be wrong, Perez is still probably quite capable. The Red Bull as a whole, as a vehicle, probably still quite useful, even at that capability. Those tyres are now overheating, so I don't want to have to push them. But Alex is having a go at Zhou Guan Yu now, which is probably the most important thing. We'll just leave a little bit in the banks. Yuki, not the time, Yuki. Zhou's over... Tsunoda's taken Zhou, but Zhou's also miles back now, so... What's happened here?
To 12th and sniffing
those
points places.
It's a 3-car overtake, and I'm not fully certain what's going on, because Zhou's now behind Norris as well. It is 1 lap later, though, I think. So for some reason, that was like a really late replay, and Zhou Guan Yu's also being taken by Norris for good measure. I managed to get the tyre temperature down, which is the main thing. I'm on 4 with curbs, just to be completely transparent. I say when I'm not actually visible, ironically. But avoiding curbs is at the very least negating the dirty air effect. Because even on a 3 push in the train, you know, at neutral standard, even on the standard in the train, the tyre temperatures weren't coming down from above 120 the way they normally do. So I had to sort of take some avoiding action just to cool those tyres down. And now we're all having a look at Piastri, who in the race is utterly terrible, apparently. And Tsunoda's getting Magnussen. You know what? There's a sniff of points here. I don't think it's going to be anything more than 10th because Ocon's doing all right. But Perez is up to 8th and Ocon's holding on to him. So that's what's going on there. Max. I mean, Tsunoda got through it. I don't know if he got damage or not, but Magnussen thumped. It's focusing on Nick de Vries, but it's Magnussen turning in on Tsunoda that caused it originally, and then both Williams get caught, actually. And then one of them's in the middle of the road, which kind of stops everything. It's Nick de Vries they're focused on, but I think it's Zhou Guan Yu that's... So we restart on the 11th and 12th. I mean, we go onto a medium, don't we? There's 2 options. You either go on the slightly better soft and still do 2 stops, or we go on a medium and a hard and try to go long. Oh no, de Vries is the one that's out. It was Zhou that was on the medium. It just, for some reason, focused on Zhou Guan Yu in the middle. Some drivers have switched to hards. Oh, of course. We need to actually re-attack these. I'm glad we're on some version of attack mode to begin with, just so we don't get completely mugged off by the hard drivers behind. But Tsunoda having a look-see at Piastri, who's not on fresh softs. some drivers on fresh softs, which implies they are still going to be two-stopping. Maybe they can make a medium work to the end, but I don't know. I generally thought Tsunoda was getting Piastri there, but Piastri's actually getting Ocon. Yuki's confidence is fine because he doesn't seem to have been affected by the initial contact with Magnussen, which we never really saw as a replay, it's worth saying. But thankfully, we were focused on that moment originally, as Tsunoda's now taken Ocon for 10. I think the red flag improves our chances of a 9th, because it's put Ocon kind of back into our fight, and that's basically all it's done for us. Where's Perez? Because that's a Ferrari and a Merc ahead of... Perez is up to 6th. Blimey. Yeah, so if Tsunoda could now challenge Piastri, that would be superb. We can push the fuel quite hard as well now. So we do need to sort out new strategies. Also, for some reason, this is broken since the update. I can't change the target of the tyre that I'm already on, and I can't replace it either. You can delete it, weirdly. So we kind of have to assume the target is there on a 3, maybe. There's a great Hamilton-Alonso fight happening for the podium place, by the way. Obviously in Spain, it's Alonso's home race, so he'll probably love this. But the old dog's still having a go at it. It's so weird to think of Hamilton as an old dog as well. It's so weird. Like, Alonso feels like part of the old guard for some reason, but Hamilton will always be like the babyface newcomer. It's so weird to think that he's been in the sport now, probably, as of this year in the game, for about 20 years or so. But weirdly, there's a train that starts with Perez that we're all kind of a part of now for some reason. This has helped our cause. Piastri's had a moment. He's on the tail of a Ferrari, which is on hards, but it's led all of us through, which is the main thing. So now Tsunoda is in theory... Oh, Tsunoda's got taken by Ocon, and I never got a replay for that. But it's the same train still. I think that's enough fueling under. Well, this ain't good. Tsunoda's been blamed for it. Doesn't seem to have any visible damage, and there's no flashing yellow light on my hub. So Lando... I guess that's Tsunoda's fault. Don't know why it looked... I don't know why the McLaren... Sorry, how is that 10 seconds? Major collision caused, apparently. Norris is completely fine. And Lewis Hamilton destroyed Oscar Piastri's race and got a 5-second penalty. Norris is still driving in the points. In fact, Norris gained a place through all that. The only person Tsunoda hurt was himself. It is a collision. I mean, strictly speaking, that's a racing incident, really, I think. Tsunoda has caused a collision, but so at worst it's a 5-second. But both drivers will continue on without damage, so at worst it's a 5-second penalty, you'd have thought. Piastri's come in now. Was he on softs? He was. And he locked up, so he obviously damaged them. So, just quietly in the background, I realised a few laps ago that I never turned off avoid curbs at the start of the red flag, which is why they struggled to overtake a little bit at the beginning of the restart. So I just thought I'd leave it on, just to see how effective it still is. Because if you're going to try it at a race, this is the race you kind of cheese it on because of the tyre wear situation and the early red flag obviously making the strategies that little bit more difficult. Piastri's got on another set of softs that aren't fully functional, so he's 2-stopping onto a hard, I think, at this point, whereas we might still be 1-stopping. Could actually, depending on how well this goes, we might be able to actually get away with another medium still. But 5 and curbs is doing this still, as Albon takes Norris, apparently. The second I stop looking at him. My concern here is Lando's on a hard tyre and has managed to sort of stay with us this entire time. Nicking a point here is great, but it's not essential. We've still got, obviously, a lot of opportunity to get more points to get the long-term objective done for our team. Tsunoda's obviously got the penalty, so that is going to be a problem for him, ultimately. As it looks like Lando and Alex are going to have that back and forth. Because of the incident, it's also pushed them out of the range of Ocon, so they're not even catching him now. I'd have thought the DRS slingshot might have helped, but no. So essentially our strategy here is go as long as possible. I'm going to watch one of these replays because we've not really seen anything. It is just the DRS straight every single lap. Our drivers aren't really doing anything more interesting than this right now. There's not really any micromanagement to be had. This is... We might genuinely go from the longest recording to the shortest recording. As Tsunoda's technically in the points right now, as there might actually be something worthwhile watching here, because no, Alonso's through, actually. Alonso's clean through as Albon's taken him again. I thought he might hold on a little bit. So, looking at Tsunoda, the hard would apparently be faster. But obviously this isn't taking into account the fact we've got a little bit of tyre room now. However, so I'll just let these tyres go as long as they can towards 30% and then pit them. I feel like we probably should also just focus on Alex for a little bit here. Ocon's had a pit stop issue, which could be helpful. Alex is a little bit less than Yuki, actually, so I could pit him this lap. Yes, we've actually got one lap over, so we might be fine. Get an undercut on Lando, of course, who's on hard, so he'll probably be going a little bit longer, and maybe going onto a medium again anyway. Piastri's now on hards, having pitted a second time. Alonso's joined our party just because he's on fresh tyres and obviously just speeding through everyone. He's clear of Hamilton as well, so he might be on for the podium. I don't know if Sainz has pitted yet, or Stroll for that matter. Of course, nobody's actually had a pit stop yet on our team, so these all count towards our DHL pit stops for now. We'll get Yuki on it at the end of this lap. Yeah, we'll try and get Alex a undercut here. Oh, he's ended up behind a whole bunch of people who pitted a lot early. Oh no, mind you, no, sorry, Zhou Guanyu and Gasly haven't pitted yet. They're all on hards. Ocon has. I think we're okay for fuel. He's back to 0.6 and there's 26 laps to go. So I think we've sort of recovered about half, with about half of the distance to go that we pushed from. So he's basically on the tail of Ocon, is Alex, already. So that pit stop issue has pushed Ocon back into Alex, and Ocon's now on a hard. So this could work out well for Alex. So, of course, Tsunoda's got a 10-second penalty for no apparent reason. He might get a bit of time of undercut on these hard runners to begin with, but Gasly's obviously going to get him because he was on his tail immediately. Russell, I think, has already stopped. Zhou Guanyu and Magnussen's got his own penalty. Now, the good news is the penalty doesn't factor into the DHL pit stop. It's so dumb that was a 10-second penalty, though. 5, I'd have been mad at, but accepted. They don't really just do racing incidents here. Someone pretty much always gets a penalty. I have seen racing incidents where they haven't penalised either driver, but they are so much rarer. Of course, his confidence is low from making that collision, isn't he? Albon is failing to catch Ocon on fresh mediums. Ocon's clearly pushing now as well, but Tsunoda should get some time-based confidence back in now, but I think people are pitting from ahead of Albon again now, so Albon's on the tail of Magnussen, which is not helping. He's well clear of Norris, who is pitted behind him. I've now just seen as well. I missed the Norris pit stop, so he's 4 seconds ahead of Norris, having pitted earlier. And Norris has gone on to mediums as well. So I think Alex basically has Norris. Magnussen has his own DRS here. It's annoying that he's fighting this, considering he's effectively a pit stop down. But that's Alex through. You can see the difference though, by the way. 116.7, 117.2. That's the difference in the confidence. They're fairly similar drivers overall as total capability. As Piastri's overtaken Tsunoda behind, as Albon's gained something there. What? Alex has been involved in a crash that I genuinely didn't see despite being focused on it.
Cutting it so close.
Oh, there. Neither driver has a penalty, so that one was classed as a racing incident. Which makes it even weirder that Yuki Tsunoda is counted as a 10-second penalty, let alone any penalty. Is that incident was a racing incident. Both drivers continued on their merry way. No issues there. Zhou Guanyu might have ended up behind Magnussen as a result, so he actually lost a position. And Magnussen now pits, which is annoying. So Albon's back up into 10th and lapping marginally faster than Ocon, despite colliding with the driver. Tsunoda, buddy old pal. Where is the yellow flag? Norris? Hulkenberg locked up. So you think Piastri did? I'm focusing on all the highlights now just because we've not really seen anything of this race. Trying to overtake a Sauber. Ooh, that was nearly a collision. Yeah, that's what Piastri did. So Tsunoda's getting back into Piastri's DRS, who clearly must have just pushed for a few laps there. Because Piastri's on hards, don't forget. Meanwhile, Albon is failing to close on Ocon, who's just put in a 116.5. He's gone half a second faster and Albon's gone half a second slower that lap, despite not colliding with anyone. Thankfully, he isn't lapping slower than Norris. Oh, he lost tyre for that collision. Oh well, still might be on track to get to the end, no problems. Unfortunately, neither... Oh, sorry. I was about to say, neither driver is in a fight, but Tsunoda is. I mean, we're enjoying this like the McLarens today. Our Dark Trace, there's your advertising time. There's a little bit more of it. I see zero reason for Yuki Tsunoda not to get this overtake done. It'd be great if he kind of went alongside. It'd be great if he went alongside Yuki. He's making a hash of this, but he's got through. Confidence! I don't know why that's very low. That should just be low. Oh, it is just low. And a personal best sector one as well. At the very least, if he can fight with Piastri. Of course, overtaking stat goes down as well when you're low confidence. Like, it's a horrendous compounding effect. Like, the chance of an incident, your defending and overtaking attributes get completely bonked. And then just your general lap time attributes get completely bonked as well. Like, the compounding effect is ridiculous. He's also successfully defended there, but... So he's only shaving a minor bit off now, but the things that go down is quite ridiculous. Accuracy, I feel like, shouldn't go down, because I feel like, if anything, it'd be the other way around. Like, if you're more confident, the more risk you'll take, and therefore your accuracy will go down. And therefore, when you're low confident, you'll be a little bit more adhering to the lines, and therefore your accuracy would go up. I feel like accuracy should actually do the opposite. as a bit of a countermeasure. Cornering, braking, overtaking, defending, I kind of all fine with that because you're sort of a little bit more hesitant on those things. But if anything, I think the chance of an incident should go the other way as well, just because you'd be a little bit more risky when you're high confident. 16 laps to go again. We're 10 laps further in. We've got 0.3 of a fuel back, so we'll be fine on fuel. And now he's successfully defending. He's gaining that confidence as well. So Alex has closed half a tenth on Ocon. You can see him. If you could just get into his DRS, that would be superb. But ultimately, I think 9th is our final target here. As Bottas pits again. That's a point. Verstappen's pitting again. Leclerc's fine to the end of the race now. Yeah, I don't think anyone else is pitting again. Like, anyone on a hard's fine, anyone on a medium's fine. There's a yellow flag. And a VSC. It's Hulkenberg, who's on 0% in a wall. It says involving multiple cars, so it's Hulkenberg and his Sauber friend. Hulkenberg squeezed him off and paid the price. That's effectively what Yuki got penalised for in real life, I think, if I remember rightly. Someone did that last year as well. Ricardo's out. I can't even click on Ricardo. I don't know what happened to him. Anyone in that sector? I can see Hulkenberg. I presume Ricardo's off in this direction, but I mean, Albon would be the risk, but I'd have to get Norris back and he's only 2 seconds behind already. If you're someone like Gasly, you might go for it here because it's only a VSC, so you're still losing track time as well. You're not getting rebunched up afterwards. Yeah, I think Daniel Ricciardo's car's been deleted. We'll get that fuel back now as well. Hulkenberg got a penalty, I think, as well. That'll carry over. I think I said Hulkenberg at the top. So we'll just harvest through this as well. Keep Ocon in our sights. Allows us to push the fuel as well. I don't know whether everyone else will, but if we can get into Ocon's DRS, that could just be a little bit more fun long term. Has Yuki been lapped? No, only Bottas has. Where is Yuki in respect to the leader? About a sector ahead. He's on Zhou Guanyu right now. He's about half a second behind. It's a short lap now. They haven't got that last chicane. It's only about 1:15, isn't it? So, nice. So VSC ending. I'm not going to push the ERS. I'm going to save that for the end. But I'll push the tyres. Fuel back on. Continue to avoid, particularly with Alex, just because I want to see what happens. But 2 seconds was the gap, and 2 seconds it kind of remains. Yuki seems to have lost time to Gasly for some reason. Just by virtue of where they maybe started and ended, I don't know. That safety car. But Albon's within 1.5 seconds now. It keeps fluctuating, but I think he's within about 1.5. Should really focus on him, shouldn't I? Because he's pushing that fuel. And keep that ERS for, the last couple of laps maybe. Yeah, he's dropped to maybe 2 seconds again. Tsunoda's back to where he was as well. 11 seconds is sort of stabilised, so I think long term we've ended up exactly where we started, of course. 3 drivers out who weren't challenging for points to begin with. Doesn't help our overall chances here. We remain in 10th. Norris remains 3 seconds behind. Actually, I think he gained through that. Yeah, Piastri and Tsunoda are fighting. Right up Yuki's chuff. Straight around the outside. Yep, straightforward. Straightforward. Good for them. Good for them. It's weird that our drivers have been involved in incidents. And, both of them got through them without damage, thankfully. So Verstappen pitted, obviously outside of the safety car, period. Is now hunting Leclerc on slightly fresher softs. Leclerc might win this. He's only got 11 laps to get 7 seconds. He was a second faster that lap, though. There's always a chance Leclerc will push, but I think just because of the AI work, he probably won't push until Verstappen gets close. I feel like we're getting closer to the driver in front of Ocon, which is Russell. Like, as a combined unit, we're getting closer to him. Yeah, Ocon was 4/10 faster than Russell a lap, and we were 4/10 faster than Ocon. Norris was a second and a bit faster. Norris is using ERS, I think. We'll just make sure he doesn't get into DRS range before we get into Ocon's. I didn't really want to use ERS until the last lap, but here we are, making do. And we're in by the detection point. Ta-da! Nice, kept Norris well out as well. He's slowed that lap. As a result, yeah, 1:14.4. He did a much slower lap again. He did a 1.2 slower somehow. I don't know where he just pulled a 1:15 from, but Verstappen is closing rapidly. Hamilton got Alonso. He was 2 seconds behind. Hamilton went for it as well with broken, with not great tyres either. I mean, that's Alex powering past Ocon and making it stick. Tsunoda got Piastri at some point as well. I didn't get that replay. Forgot to come back there, but just power straight past. Ocon goes quite defensive, actually. He still takes up the middle right position. Forces Alex to go towards the pit lane barrier, but obviously nowhere near as dangerous as he did to Fernando that time. So it's interesting to see what we can do in regards to Russell now, who hasn't picked up the pace. 1:17.5, half a second faster again. 7 laps to go. We will have to come off of fuel at some point. Yuki has no chance of catching Gasly, does he? No, 10 seconds, 12 seconds. I think we're well clear of the lapping vehicle, aren't we? Yeah, 7 seconds is not going to be a thing before the end of this. There goes Ocon again. But I'm kind of hoping as a unit we can close on Russell here. I might micromanage Alex through the lap here. Right, so these 2 sectors to the end of the DRS straight, keep him on neutral, try to keep him behind Ocon, or not. I say just save whatever tyre wear we can and just accept 9th, and that Russell isn't coming to get us. We'll save up some fuel for the last couple of laps again. Same way we kind of wanted to do with the ERS. But we don't have DRS right now, so we're going to push the tyres to keep him behind. And now he's ahead, probably. Just use DRS, keep us in touch. Keep us in touch. Or overtake him. That's an interesting overtake. I wonder if that gets... I keep getting to come back in here. But that was an interesting overtake from Alex in the first place, which didn't get anything. Who is that behind? That's Norris, of course, isn't it? Who's caught us while we're faffing around here. We've got to be careful of Norris now. I'm actually glad for that replay because that kind of makes me not want to... Yeah, Norris has just gone through both of us there while we were mucking around. His mediums are only marginally better. Norris has just gone through. Norris has just found an unbelievable amount of time on his tyres all of a sudden. What? I don't understand Norris's pace there. He's just blitzed through. So the leader has just started the penultimate lap. He's getting a little close to Piastri, and Verstappen's nearly got Leclerc as well. I mean, we're having a go at Ocon now. Yeah, Norris just bolted with 3 seconds behind him somehow. Okay, so we're fighting for 10th then. Norris just had pace. Leclerc is 1.1 seconds ahead of Verstappen on the last straight DRS zone. So Verstappen essentially has one chance here, and it's if they catch Piastri. We're still yet to start the last lap, it's worth saying. Norris is in Russell's DRS. That's how fast he was. He's 3.5 seconds ahead. Just pulling out 1:16.7s when we're doing 1:17.4s. The soft riders still nearly ran out of tyres at the end anyway. Just make sure Yuki stays ahead of the lapping vehicles, who will just catch Piastri. I think he will move out of the way, Piastri, as I moved out of the way, switched the focus at exactly the wrong moment there. Around the outside, preventing Alpine getting a point would be nice. I don't know what happened with Lando. Tsunoda safely across the line, we'll just leave him to it. I'll obviously have to keep an eye on his fuel, but Alex can deploy from here as well. He's got full charge and 48%. Leclerc holds on. We've got a new race winner for the season. Keep an eye on this fight though, of course. Can't really give the race winner his moment, sadly. As we focus on Alex trying to keep Ocon at bay here. No real point. Risking Yuki now, or Alex for that matter. Kept him behind. We've kept him behind. Yes. Russell ended on 29% hards, and Norris got him. Just. Considering where we started, that's not half bad, really. Considering where we started and Tsunoda had a 10-second penalty at one point, he still ended up 14 seconds behind Gasly, but obviously it robbed him of that fight. So DRS would have helped. Yeah, focusing on Alex again. Up to 10th for Alex. So after having 2 podiums in 2 years, Mercedes get a second one this year. What a great angle that is. What a great angle. I can see everything. But that is the first non-Red Bull victory of the year. Pity for Alonso, though. Unfortunately for Oscar, his race pace is non-existent and he pitted an extra time, which is part of the problem. I do suspect, actually, if he hadn't pitted a second time, he wouldn't have been behind Tsunoda because he wasn't that far behind on track. He just got lapped to the very last second. So he might have been fighting for points if he hadn't gone on softs on the restart and just gone for a one-stop after the restart like everyone else apart from Valtteri Bottas, who also suffered there. There's a hell of a recovery from Pierre Gasly, who started at the back. It's a decent recovery from Alex, who obviously qualified 14th. Lando also up 7 places. Perez qualified poorly, of course, up 5 for him, despite a not really greatly functioning vehicle. Lance Stroll obviously separates himself from Yuki Tsunoda. When he doesn't DNF, he tends to do quite alright. Hamilton also, by virtue of getting 15 points, usurps his teammate, who did have the previous podium. So they both got a third each now. And we have a new race winner. Sergio Perez remains on top, but only by 6 points. And I did say Charles Leclerc wasn't out of it. He's getting slightly more in it again. Lando claims Kevin and Piastri temporarily. 3 pointless drivers still, 2 of which crashed, so that didn't help them. And McLaren, not on the bottom again. Haas now on bottom. What a fight it is down here for these points. I'm glad we're not in that one anymore. 75 points for us. Nice number to be on now. We did 3 and 5. Not actually great. So small margins though, small margins. And we do have an advantage. So fingers crossed we can hold on to that for the end. No mechanical. There was no aerodynamic damage from any of the crashes, so that should help us. I wonder if it takes percentage off them, but doesn't break them. Yeah, some have failed side pod. We've actually got 1 side pod manufactured already. Yeah, Yuki's got quite a lot of things that have failed the inspection, so I don't think they broke. They just took whatever percentages they had down into inspection fail problematic territory. So whilst there was no mechanical breaks, we do have to replace 4 things, which effectively same outcome, really. As you can see there. 5 things, actually. But they were the original side pods from when they were manufactured the first time. So that might have been a thing. That was going to fail anyway. But as I say, next time out, we will have plenty of front wings manufactured again, along with 2 underfloors and 2 side pods of the new spec. So we get to see how they function. In fact, I think there's one available for both. So if I move into the middle, we'll be able to see this slightly better. But if I have a look at... It's only a marginal gain across the grid, but adds a little bit of weight to the car again, but it's just because of where I tried to neutralize it on the board. So, and it was the side pod, wasn't it? It was the other one. It's not huge gains, I'm not going to lie. So car 2, which is Tsunoda, which is on has the old ones, is 7, 3, 5, 15, 13, 9, 7, 6, 10. Meanwhile, Alex is 4th for top speed. The cornering moves up a couple of places, as does the engine, but we go down in extra weight just because the car parts have kind of neutralized to... It's not a huge addition to weight, but it's just sort of adding that fraction whilst maintaining the same kind of overall weight is the nearest one to it whilst not going less than. Second fastest accelerating vehicle on the track, along with the 4th highest top speed and one of the best ERSs. So high speed we are superb in. It's Austria next. Middle of the road on cornering and relatively decent on cooling as well. So yeah, looking all right now again. Austria might be our kind of track. It says balanced circuit. Barcelona is regarded as a downfall, which is why we're not kind of as good as Canada, which is again regarded as a balanced circuit. So whilst there's one big old straight, which, you know, helps us, the rest of the track doesn't really suit us. Are there actually that many power circuits? Bahrain is one. Britain is one. Belgium is one. So the power circuits, Monza obviously. The power circuits are sort of more in the back half. So, and there's a lot of balanced ones. There's not very many downforce circuits in the back half. Singapore and Zandvoort. But we still got one more this week as well with Budapest. So the second half of the season actually is more suited to our car. And we have 75 points now. So hopefully we might be okay. Chance of rain at Silverstone, 22% apparently. Chance of rain at Austria, a little higher. But there's no sprint this time round, so we don't have to faff around with that. Just the regular old race at Austria, just 71 laps, is it? Yeah, 71 laps of the Red Bull Ring. Technically a home race, I guess, because Red Bull Junior team, but not really our true home race, Imola is. So that's it for this one. If you enjoy this race, it was a fight to get a point, but we got one. We got one. We've actually, I don't think we failed to score a point in any race so far, which means we're very much on course to completing our long-term objective by the end of this week, which is obviously score points in 12 races, and our 12th race happens on Friday at Budapest. So fingers crossed, we can keep going with this. But if you'd like this, do comment, like, subscribe. I said that in a different order for some strange reason. Keeping you on your toes. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra.